Steve here with ICRPG behind the DM screen. Thanks for joining. Today's episode we're going to be talking about one-page dungeons. Some cool stuff out there. I'll show you a little bit on how they can be used. And again, as always, please like and subscribe. Now on to the video. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, a one-page dungeon is exactly that. It is an entire campaign or a dungeon on a single sheet of regular paper. There are a lot of cool features about it. Of course, there's some limitations. We'll get into that in just a second. This particular one that I hold in my hand is called the Quintessential Dungeon. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. Quintessential Dungeon by Will Doyle. And it's under a Creative Commons license. Now, what was interesting was apparently in 2016, and please feel free to comment below if I need to be corrected, but in 2016 there was a contest or a competition, I'm not even sure who ran it, on who could come up with the best one-page dungeon, and this apparently was the winner of that. I think there were maybe 60 entries, so it wasn't, a huge thing. But this is what came out of it. You can find this online. It's free. Again, it's under Creative Commons license. So let's take a look at it on the table, see what it looks like, kind of its quirks and features and all that good stuff. So essentially on a one-page dungeon or a one-page campaign, you're trying to have everything laid out in a way that you can see the entire scope of either the dungeon or the campaign. In this case, it's a bit of a hybrid. I believe in this one, players can enter up here, or they can enter through, say, a sewer grate. There are different ways of entering through, and just like any other dungeon, they can choose different paths. And then different rooms basically have different things that happen within those rooms, or if it's a wider scale, it could be a different region of a country or a town or that kind of thing. I think where it would really shine in this type of layout in particular for ICRPG is that whole concept that a room has a certain target number. So as you go through, you can see, like, I think there's one that's got like a gelatinous cube. There's another one here that's got a sleeping dragon, cave trolls that you wake up. So different ones, of course, different rooms would have different, say, targets associated with them. And I really like this approach. As I was getting into looking into DMing and all of that, I'm trying to find things that are going to be fun for players. I think this has a certain scalability to it where you can maybe design several one-offs. That's kind of probably what I'm going to do. I think this particular campaign here will probably take several different episodes, if you will, or sessions. I'm guessing just from the look at it that it'll probably take about 3 sessions to run through this entire dungeon. But I'm thinking that it might be more beneficial to do something that is just one-shots, and then you just have a series of them, just a folder full of one-shots like this. So tell me what you think of that idea. Tell me if you guys have run a one-page dungeon and kind of what your experience with it. I've never done it. I'm used to the books, the thick modules, where you go through and that kind of stuff. But let me kind of go through. So there's like a bottomless pit. Here's one that says Gnome Were-Rat pillages the cellar. Let's see, a green slime drools on anyone passing through the sewer. You've got this thing right here, a statue's eye sockets contain fire and earth gems, but the statue is tall and slippery, so you got to be careful. There's another thing over here where, for example, in this section, the players are asked to solve a riddle. That riddle tells them to go and find those gems. So again, it's all a pretty cool cohesive whole. Pretty neat thing. So I think where a one-page dungeon or a one-page campaign really shines is in its ability to encapsulate sessions. So single sessions, whether it's a 3-hour or 4-hour, however long your group meets, I think you can tailor these so that everything, you kind of know, like, hey, today we are going to cover whatever's on this page, right? That's how I'm probably going to use it, as a series of these one-shot adventures, whether you level up after each one, I have no idea. And then I would probably say to have an overall map that would encapsulate, say, maybe anywhere from 3 to 7 sessions, on a separate sort of one-page master campaign, so to speak. Like maybe they've got this sort of town, and in the town there's this cavern. Well, then you'd have your one shot of that cavern, and then they get out of there, and then they would move on to the next one shot. But I think that helps the group stay on track. Like, I think it always is helpful to know where you're going and to kind of see maybe where you've accomplished what. Now, as far as maps go, this is kind of one of the things, please comment below on how you handle how much do you let the players see of the map. Now, obviously, this has everything spelled out for the DM, but at the same time, like, how much of a map are you allowing your players to see? Now, there is a program online, many of you have heard of it, it's called owlbear.rodeo. That is basically a thing where you can upload, if you've got the technology to do it. Maybe your group has laptops that you play with, or you do it online with Zoom or whatever. But you can upload a map like this, a one shot, and with owlbear.rodeo, you can do, I think they call it fog of war, where essentially you, as the DM, map out a circle that the players can see whatever's in that circle, and as you move, obviously they can see the stuff that you've already covered, and you can kind of assign different parameters on how big that circle would be. How much realistically could a player see, because you're the DM, you're the one that's got the omnipotence and can guide people through. So anyway, this one again, the Quintessential Dungeon by Will Doyle. Yep, Will Doyle, and you can find that online. If you guys have come across any other single page things, whether it's a full campaign or if it's just part of a campaign, but it's particularly good, please comment below, because we're always looking for those resources. This could quite possibly be the first campaign that I run with my group with ICRPG. So let me know what you think of that too. Maybe look it up online and tell me if you think that's a good one to start. You guys are more expert than me. This channel is just following me on my journey from newbie to DM. So again, thanks for watching, and may your rolls always be with advantage.